In 1919, the Osage Prize was announced. The prize purse of $20,000, which, adjusted for inflation, is a whole lot of today money, was to be given to the first railroad engineer to take a train from New York to Paris. Few were willing to try, but one particularly spunky Pennsylvania railroad engineer named Calvin Lindbergh decided to take on the challenge a few years after the prize was announced. The Pennsylvania Railroad agreed to let Lindbergh take this engine, E6 Class Atlantic type locomotive number 460, across the Atlantic to Paris. Lindbergh departed New York Penn Station running light engine. He sped through Connecticut and Massachusetts before crossing the Gulf of Maine and into Nova Scotia. By that evening, he took on coal and water in St. John's, Newfoundland, before heading east into the North Atlantic. Not much is known about exactly what transpired while Lindbergh and number 460 were crossing the Atlantic, as he never spoke about it. After his passing, however, his wife said that he would sometimes mutter in his sleep about running out of coal, having to do a favor for a group of mermaids to find firewood, and using whale dung to relight the fire. Regardless, Lindbergh arrived several hours later than expected on the western coast of Ireland. He proceeded to the city of Cork, where he briefly stopped for another tender load of coal and water. Lindbergh found running on the Irish railway network difficult, as the Irish railways are 5-foot 3-inch broad gauge and number 460 is 4-foot 8.5-inch gauge. Lindbergh crossed St. George's Channel, leaving Ireland behind and crossing into the United Kingdom. He joined the Great Western Railway at Fishguard and continued his eastbound run. Lindbergh made extensive use of the water scoop on 460's tender, and the track gauge now fitting his engine made for a much smoother ride. Low bridges proved to be a slight problem, but Lindbergh managed to get through. Many bridges had to be rebuilt after Lindbergh passed through them, however. Lindbergh and number 460 arrived via the Southern Railway at Dover, where he entered the English Channel and crossed into France. The channel was a little more rough than usual, which made the crossing difficult. After another brief stop for coal and water at Calais, Lindbergh highballed to Paris. Lindbergh and number 460 arrived at Paris's Gare de Lyon station somewhere around 3:30 in the morning. Unfortunately, no one seemed to know of 460's arrival, as some aviator doing the same route had already arrived earlier that same night. The station master did record the train's arrival time, however. Lindbergh backed number 460 out of the station and parked her in an engine shed for the night while he went to find a hotel. Calvin returned to his engine the next morning, only to find a nearsighted shed manager insisting he and his engine take an express service. Calvin obliged and took the Paris to Nice express service that day. The sight of a Pennsylvania Railroad E6 on French rails created enough of a stir to get the word out that the other Lindbergh had also made it. However, the limelight was being thoroughly soaked up by the aviator. Calvin and locomotive number 460 returned to the United States by ship not long after, and the Pennsylvania Railroad sent number 460 to the Altoona shops for an overhaul. A couple of months later, the aviator was to be presented with a medal by the president, while Calvin's escapades received almost no accolades. A newsreel company chartered a special train to rush film of the ceremony to New York. Seeing a chance to spite the aviator, the Pennsylvania Railroad assigned locomotive number 460 to the train. Because the film was processed on its way to New York, number 460 beat two airplanes rushing their company's film to the New York market. Having happily kicked the world of aviation right in its rudder, number 460 retired to commuter train service in New Jersey before becoming a part of the Pennsylvania Railroad's historical collection. The historical collection later became part of the collection of the Railroad Museum of Pennsylvania in Strasburg, Pennsylvania. Today, the engine can be seen on static display at the museum.